Okay, I'm going to call the City of Groton Mayor and Council meeting for Monday, September 18th, 2017 to order. Clerk Patrick, please call the roll.
Present are Mayor Keith Hedrick, Deputy Mayor Lawrence Garish, Councilors Jill Rust, Jamal Beckford, Stephen Sheffield, Conrad Heed, Rashad Carter, Finance Director Ron Newhouse, Clerk Deborah Patrick.
Okay, please stand for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have any recognitions, awards, memorials? Okay. Receipt of citizens' petitions and comments. Do we have anyone for citizens' petitions or comments? Please state your name and your address. You'll have 5 minutes. You, Tommy.
Thank you very much, Town Councilors, Mr. Mayor. My name is Jean-Claude Amboise. I live at 169 Shenecosset Parkway. I come with a couple of items this evening. Number one, to put it to your attention, on October 3rd, there will be a public hearing by the Town Council to determine the results of the Charter Revision Commission and their findings. If you weren't aware, there are some drastic, radical changes that they want to propose to Groton government, which I do not approve of. One of them being a budget referendum, another one establishing term limits, and one establishing a Board of Finance. The one that concerns me the most, though, is the abolishment of the RTM. And the reason why I don't approve of that measure is because it eliminates the district representation within the town of Groton. I would be on board with some sort of collaboration if that Board of Finance were a 7 district-wide appointment, but it is an at-large appointment. And my fear is that the power of government is going to be consolidated into the hands of very few people, and it's an at-large bid. That does not represent our diverse community that we have, and we could be making decisions based on financial transactions rather than having a holistic approach to governing for the future. So I do not support that. And I encourage everyone here, as well as citizens at large in Noank, Groton, Long Point, and all the other districts within the town of Groton and the city of Groton, to appear at that meeting. My second is a concern that I have as a community member here in the city of Groton. Recently, I've had to file a police report on threatening offenses to children in my neighborhood by a resident within my neighborhood. I'm not going to get into who it is. I'm not going to get into what they'd spoken, but it should not be. I'm a little bit concerned for the safety of my children in my neighborhood, where they're actually being restricted from playing outside in certain areas where they should be outside instead of on their tablets and smartphones. I am not the only one in the neighborhood who has had problems with this individual. Erratic driving, threats, vulgar signage on vehicles and other places. And I just wanted to put you all aware of the situation, and it seems to be increasing. And I don't know how we can resolve this. The results from my report, as well as other reports, are nothing has been actually done, so they can't do anything. And that makes me really concerned about my neighborhood and safety. That's the second one. My last one is just to acknowledge the council and the mayor and thanking them for handling the microburst that we had last week and the prompt cleanup and removal of many of the debris in the area. I know a lot of constituents were happy with that result. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other citizens' petitions?
Good evening. My name is Ed DiMazzio. I live at 49B George Avenue and 64 Monument Street in the city of Groton. I'd like to make a couple of comments about the schedule for this evening. First, I'd like to show my appreciation to the members of the Ethics Board for all the work that they did in their investigation. However, I disagree with their findings. I think there's a big difference between CMEC board members attending expensive CMEC-sponsored events and board members who are unethical. There's no evidence of at the Ethics Board hearing of unethical or corrupt conduct. Attending CMEC-sponsored events is a governance problem, not an ethics problem. Therefore, I hereby resign my Groton Utilities Commission and Basra Utilities Commission positions effective immediately. I will also voluntarily contribute $7,500 to a charitable organization of my choice. I served the United States Coast Guard for over 25 years and saved 36 lives. I've served the city of Groton at CMEC for over 10 years, and during that time, the estimated savings to our ratepayers was over $36 million. I think it is a travesty to classify an error in judgment as unethical. David Collard and Ron Gaudet do not deserve that classification. David has served the city of Groton and the city of Basra for over 44 years. And now, by participating in CMEC-sponsored events, he is being reprimanded. I find that difficult to accept. In light of these actions, I respectfully request that resolution number 133, which is on your agenda for this evening, be withdrawn. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to citizens' petitions or comments? Okay, respond to citizens' petitions, comments, council? Okay, hearing none. The next item is approval of minutes. I'll accept the motion for the approval of September 5th, 2017, mayor and council meeting.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. Communications and reports. Councilor Rusk.
Thank you. On September 11th, I attended the Group 2 committee with Councilor Sheffield. We discussed signage coming into the city with Deputy Umrich. We asked him to, when he had some time between the microburst and this upcoming storm, to give us some time or some information on what we could do. So I don't have any information to share at this point, but we are looking at it. And I just want to ask all of our citizens to stay safe tomorrow.
Okay. Councilor Becker.
Yes.
Sorry.
On Saturday, September 9th, I went to a Cape Verdean Veterans Memorial Project fundraiser dinner. This is at the VFW Post in Preston, and it's a project to install a monument in the Rhode Island Veterans Memorial Cemetery in recognition of the contributions of Cape Verdean American veterans who served in the armed forces. So they have a groundbreaking on September 30th at the Rhode Island Veterans Cemetery, and they've got the President and Prime Minister of Cape Verde coming through. So
Wow.
it's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you. Councilor Sheffield.
I also attended the Group 2 committee meeting with Councilor Rusk, and that's all.
Okay, Councilor Heath.
I have nothing to report.
Councilor Carter.
I have nothing to report, Mayor.
Deputy Mayor Garish.
Yes, I actually was on vacation last week. However, I was in Toledo, Ohio, and this was before Hurricane Irma struck some of the tips of Florida and Florida. But anyway, I was asked by a good friend of mine who was very active in the American Red Cross if I would volunteer to sit on a fundraising panel with a local TV station and answer phones to collect money. And I accepted that, and I did it, and we collected or received from donations several $1,000s during the 4 hours that I participated. So I enjoyed that very much.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. A couple things. Okay. Thank you. Deb Patrick, sorry. Do you have anything?
Not this time I wasn't.
Finance Director, you have? Okay. Thank you. The town manager and I have attended a couple meetings. We attended a meeting with Jeff Geiger with Electric Boat. And today we attended a meeting with John Burkhart from Pfizer. And part of what we're doing is we are reaching out to the businesses that are here, and we're reaching out to establish new relationships or to renew relationships with these guys so that we can work together with both Pfizer and Electric Boat to help them meet their needs. They will share information to us on upcoming projects and what they're looking at in the future so that we can be partners with the things that they're doing. That way we can work with them. We make sure we know what they're doing, they know what we're doing, and we work hand in hand with them. I also had the opportunity on September 13th to speak at the State of Groton and Ledger Luncheon that was by the Chamber of Commerce, and that was enjoyable. Let's see. I met with the town manager and Finance Director Uhas and Public Works Director Emirates, and I met with the town manager and his guys to talk about the Public Works RFQ. This is the RFQ that was mandated by the Department of Transportation arbiter that said we need to get together to put out an RFQ. So we now have an RFQ together. It is going to go out. It is a joint RFQ, but it is going to go out from the town's office. On Friday, I had an opportunity to speak with Richard Blumenthal. He was up here to talk about BRAC. He was taking a preemptive strike for BRAC. I guess Senator Jack Reed from Rhode Island and Senator McCain from Nevada or Utah, or is it Nevada? Arizona. Okay, sorry, I missed it. All around. Thank you. So, I'll take 200, please. Look, I guess they are looking to bring a bill up for BRAC. There is no BRAC yet. Now, there could be, there could not be, but Blumenthal wanted to get the word out that he's against it and those kind of things. So it's too early to panic on this. I think that I talked to the base today when I was at a meeting over at the Nautilus, historic ship Nautilus, and the base is not concerned at this point. They've not received any insight or insider information about upcoming BRACs or anything like that. So they are always interested, they're always concerned when they hear the words, but they feel that they are in a good position. And I talked to Bob Ross. Bob Ross is the military affairs liaison, and he thinks we're in good position. Another thing I want to talk about is I'm sure you are tracking Tropical Storm Jose. We are making preparations in the city for the tropical storm. It is not expected to hit until about 8 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. We have information posted on the City of Groton's website and also on our Facebook page. The latest information from the Department of Emergency Services talks about, based on the official track, the impacts from Jose to Connecticut are now forecast to include sustained winds close to 30 miles per hour and gusts to 45 miles per hour, rain of 1 to 2 inches, minor coastal flooding, high surf, and rip currents. The highest impact is currently forecast to occur in southeastern Connecticut from Tuesday evening until Wednesday afternoon. At about 8 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday morning, the storm will be approximately 180 miles southeast of the Connecticut coast. It's forecast to be a tropical storm at that time with sustained winds of about 70 miles per hour. One of the things that we're looking at is we're looking at tidal charts to determine whether or not we expect that there may be flooding along Jupiter Point or around Eastern Point Beach, if you're in these areas, you've been through these kind of storms before. This has been downgraded, but we've also learned never to turn your back on a tropical storm. So if you're not prepared for hurricanes and tropical storms, we are in the season, so please get ready. And we will keep the information posted on the website and on our Facebook page. One last thing that I want to talk about is that in a moment I will be turning the podium over to Rob Zuliani, who is the chair of the Board of Ethics. He will present to us the Board of Ethics findings and the recommendations. One of the things that people have been asking about is what are we doing and when are we doing it and what's going on. My response has always been we have a process, we have to trust the process, and we have to follow the process. Where we are now in the process is the charter says the board shall report to the city council as appropriate its findings as to whether or not a violation of the code has occurred, together with recommendations as to the disposition to be made. The city council, as the case may be, shall thereupon take such action as it may deem appropriate. And then to finish the paragraph, it says, in addition, the board may make public its findings and opinions with such deletions as may, in its discretion as permitted by law, be necessary or desirable. So we are at that point of the charter where this is coming to the council, and those are the resolutions that you find in front of you today. And what we will do now is we will hear from the Ethics Board, and with that I will open it up to Chairman Zuliani. If Chairman Zuliani, if you want, you can use the podium, or if you're more comfortable, you can sit next to Finance Director Uhas.
I think I'm good here.
Okay.
Everyone hear me? Yeah. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Robert Zuliani. I live at 23 Cushion Street. Like the Mayor indicated, I'm the Chairman of the Board of Ethics Committee. The 4 members of the Ethics Board has presented this morning a written report to the City Council, findings and recommendations relating to the 6 separate ethic inquiries. I would like to quickly present the Ethics Board's activities during our present proceedings. Please understand, all 6 ethic inquiries are very complicated and intensive in themselves. This report was the result of many investigative hours by the board. We had the legal assistance of City Attorney Robert Bertram and Brian Leclerc. Due to the lack of investigative experience from all Ethic Board members, we were, with the approval of Mayor Galbraith, able to utilize the investigative experience of past city police officer and state investigative investigator John T. Edwards. He brought to the table familiarity with the city of Groton and vast investigative experience to assist the Ethics Board in finding the facts. John interviewed and received statements from 11 individuals, presented numerous email correspondence, inquiries from previous retreats, Groton Utilities policies, specifically code and conduct and ethics statements, and numerous other sources of information. In all, the information was contained in a 3-inch binder. And it took me 4 days, and I had to read it twice before I could actually comprehend all that information that he had presented. Regarding the 2016 Kentucky Derby trip, to the invitees, it was booked as a CMAC retreat. In reality, it was a lavish 4-day program for all attendees. There were no organized group programming planned. None of the 3 individual respondents were involved in the organization, planning, or establishment of this program. In viewing the findings and recommendations regarding the 3 respondents, I asked the council, please keep this in perspective. There were no illegal deeds done here. No criminal activity took place or was found. This is purely an ethics issue violation, nothing more. I'm joking when I say no one robbed the Groton Utilities National Bank. This was simply a misjudgment in decision making. Both Ron Godet and Dave Gillard are hardworking, dedicated individuals of the Groton Utilities, both holding very responsible and important positions. They bring great benefit to the Groton Utilities. It would take months searching to properly find replacements for either individual. So you will understand the Ethics Board reasoning regarding their positions as employees. I ask that you ignore the information you have read in the newspapers and discard any statements from individuals who are not totally informed with all the facts at hand. Lastly, I would like to say any and all findings and recommendations made by the Ethics Board were 100% approved by all 4 members unanimously. Lori Hellam, Jackie Massett, Mark Whalen, and myself. With this Ethics Board report delivered this morning, I'm not sure if the council has adequate time to read and comprehend the report contents. I would hope the council would accept the report for review, allowing each councilor personally to be allowed to read it individually and discuss it together among yourselves at a future council meeting, therefore allowing you to adjust the contents and come to the council's findings together. That conclusion is very, I'll skip that statement. I can entertain questions now or return it at another date if you'd like. If you have not read the report by this council meeting, I can either go through it with you together. It's a 4-page report. Or I would like you to know it all together before you make any decisions.
Okay, council? Okay, please continue. Oh, do you, Councilor Sheffield?
Mr. Zuliani, yes. If these 3 participants here that are under violation of the ethics code, if they weren't, I guess, knowledgeable of, I guess, of the organization of the trip, who would that fall back on as far as the responsibility for this trip to be taking place in the first?
CMAC management. That's
Okay.
where it basically is established. This program was developed and kept on getting bigger and bigger over time. I don't think anybody realized there were 44 people that went to the 2016 program until, returning and reading it in the newspaper, including the mayor, Galbraith. This was not planned or known, everyone was an invitee. They were asked to come, bring a guest. It got elaborate when they had their own private plane to and from. The rooms and the location were very expensive. It cost a lot of money. It was just a poor decision to go. Has the council had a chance to read the 4-page report?
We just got it tonight,
Okay.
so
Do you want me to go through it page by page now? Is that your?
I would like that if you would, please.
Okay.
It still doesn't give us time to talk about it, though, or at least digest it, whether he goes through it or not.
Well, it has to be gone through at some time. Are you opposed to having Chairman
No, but-
Zuliani go through it now?
Oh, no, I just imagine he's going to read what we were going to read anyway, so what's the point of him telling us something that we're going to read?
I'd like
Maybe to
to,
get-
I'd like to have you go over it with us, if you would.
just in case this.
Yeah, I don't see any harm in it.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm not going to
Consistent.
vote on anything today until I digest it.
Okay.
The report is the findings and recommendation to the City Council from the Board of Ethics. The City of Groton Ethics Board received the following ethics code violation inquiries as follows. There were 6. 1, 2006 Kentucky Derby trip. It was filed in, the inquiry was filed on November 1st, 2016. 2, 2015 CMAC Greenbrier Resort Forum. That was filed on March 15th of 2017. 3, 2013 CMAC Kentucky Derby trip. That was filed on March 15th with that same number 2. 4, 2014 CMAC Kentucky Derby trip. That was again filed on March 15th. 5, 2015 CMAC Kentucky Derby trip, filed March 17th of this year. And 6, 2012 free TV cable service ethics charge, and filed on March 21st. With receipt of the first ethics inquiry, the Ethics Board engaged in researching information from the approved assistants authorized by the former mayor, Marion Galbraith, from City Legal Advisor Bob Bertram, and past City Groton Police Officer and State Investigator John Edwards. In Attorney Bertram's absence, City Legal Attorney Brian LeClaire substituted for his behalf. From the investigative findings, the Ethics Board on March 15th, 2017, public hearing, found the probable cause exists for 6 City of the Ethics codes on each of the 3 respondents. Ron Godet, City of Groton Utilities Director, Groton Utilities Employee. David Collard, City of Groton Utilities Finance General Manager, Groton Utilities Employee. And Ed DiMunzio, City of Groton Utilities Commissioner, Civic Volunteer. Over the next several months, the Ethics Board continued further investigation of all 6 ethic inquiries indicated above. On August 29th, 2017, the Ethics Board received, in an open public meeting, additional first-hand information from the testimony of all 3 respondents regarding their individual participation involving the 2016 CMAC Kentucky Derby trip. In addition to testimony from former City Mayor Marion Galbraith, Utility Executive Secretary Deb Dam, and respondents' legal representative Attorney Paul McCary. All 3 respondents agreed to an open public meeting and have cooperated fully with the Ethics Board investigation. Any and all discussions and or deliberations held by the Ethics Board were done in either open or executive session during publicly announced Ethics Board meetings. Ethics Board members have not discussed any investigation information individually or as a group independent of public sessions. The Ethics Board has never discussed any investigation information or received any interaction with individuals outside the Ethics Board other than advisory discussions with Board Legal Advisor Robert Bertram and Brian LeClaire, in addition to receiving investigative information directly from Ethics Board investigator agent John T. Edwards. Both Ethics Board members did review investigative information individually from the John T. Edwards report. As publicized Ethics Board meetings on Monday, September the 11th, 2017, the Ethics Board found all 3 respondents were in violation of the City of Groton Charter Ethics Code per the following. A, by participating in the 2016 Connecticut Municipal Electric Energy Cooperative, CMAC, trip to the Kentucky Derby, he engaged in conduct which was in conflict with the proper discharge of his duties on behalf of the city in violation of the code. And or B, by participating in the 2016 Connecticut Municipal Electric Energy Cooperative, CMAC, trip to the Kentucky Derby, he engaged in contact which will tend to impair his independence of judgment or action in the performance of his official duties in violation of the code. And or C, by participating in the 2016 Connecticut Municipal Electric Energy Cooperative, CMAC, trip to the Kentucky Derby, he had substantial financial interest in conflict with the proper discharge of his duties on behalf of the city in violation of the code. And or D, by participation in the 2016 Connecticut Municipal Electric Energy Cooperative, CMAC, trip to the Kentucky Derby, he had substantial financial interest which will tend to impair his independence of judgment on action in the performance of his official duties in violation of the code. And or E, by participation in the 2016 Connecticut Municipal Electric Energy Cooperative, CMAC, trip to the Kentucky Derby, he misused city resources for his own personal advantage and convenience. And or F, by participating in the 2016 Connecticut Municipal Electric Energy Cooperative, CMAC, to the Kentucky Derby trip, he behaved in a manner that was not honorable, courteous, impartial, or fair to the general public at times. At this meeting, the Ethics Board unanimously approved the following recommendation be presented to the City of Groton Council as follows for approval and action. Ron Godet, A $100 public fine be payable to the City of Groton. B, request Mr. Godet pay $3,250 to the Town of Groton Social Service Needy Family Program to be paid in full by December 31st, 2017, and that verification of full payment be received by the Mayor of the City of Groton by December 31st, 2017, from the Town Social Service Department directly. C, a letter of reprimand be added to the personal file for the 6 violations of the City of Groton Ethics Code. And D, no removal from position and no reprisal moving forward. Dave Collard, A $100 public fine payable to the City of Groton. B, request Mr. Collard pay $7,500 to the Town of Groton Social Services Needy Family Program to be paid in full by December 31st, 2017, and that verification of the payment to be received by the Mayor and the City of Groton by 12/31/2017 from the Town Social Service Department directly. C, a letter of reprimand be added to the personal file for the 6 violations of the City of Groton Ethics Code. And D, no removal from position and no reprisal moving forward. Ed DiManzio, A $100 public fine payable to the City of Groton. B, request Mr. DiManzio pay $7,500 to the Town of Groton Social Service Needy Family Program to be paid in full by December 31st, 2017, and that verification of full payment be received by the Mayor of the City of Groton by December 31st, 2017, from the Town Social Service Department directly. C, that Mr. DiManzio resign or be removed from the Groton Utilities Commission no later than December 31st, 2017. And D, that Mr. DiManzio resign or be removed from the Bosra Utility Commission no later than December 31st, 2017. The Ethics Board on Monday, September 11th, 2017 meeting took the following action. These are the other 4 complaints that were, one was combined. In regards to the 2015 CMAC Greenbrier Resort Forum, presentation of materials received shows finding of activities conductive to support classification as a legitimate retreat. Information reported established meetings and programs during that event. Ethics Board therefore finds no probable cause and therefore drops the complaint. In regards to the 2013-2014 CMAC Kentucky Derby trip, rules of procedure, timeline. No complaint may be made under the code except within 2 years from the alleged violation has been known or should reasonably have been known by the complainant. Ethics Board has no jurisdiction after deadline. Time barred. Complaint dismissed. In regards to the 2015 CMAC Kentucky Derby trip, David Collard was the only person to attend this trip. On Monday, September 11th, 2017 meeting, Mr. Collard, in open session, agreed to have the Ethics Board fined for probable cause regarding the 2015 trip, and the Ethics Board will then combine the 2015 and 2016 CMAC Kentucky Derby trips as one, and make only one single recommendation to the City Council, covering both years as one recommendation. Therefore, no further recommendation made. And finally, the 2012 free TV cable service, rules of procedure, timeline. No complaint may be made under the code except within the 2 years from the alleged violation that has been known or should have reasonably been known to the complainant. Ethics Board has no jurisdiction after the deadline. Time barred. Complaint dismissed. The above proceedings were processed in full agreement, 100%, by the Ethics Board members unanimously. Respectfully submitted, Lori Keelan Halem, Jackie Massett, Mark Whalen, Robert Zulini, Chairman, dated today. It was dropped off at the Mayor's office at a little after 8 this morning. I can tell you the Ethics Board did a thorough investigation. I feel comfortable we discovered all aspects of information that was available. We feel strongly that our recommendation is a sound presentation, and we submit it to the City Council for your approval or rejection. Any questions?
Questions or comments for Chairman Zuliani?
Thank you for reading that, Mr. Zuliani. Appreciate it.
Councilor Rusk.
I wanted to start by saying thank you to all of the members of the Ethics Committee. I know this has been long. I know it's been difficult. I know you went through a lot. So thank you on behalf of the council, on behalf of the city. We really do appreciate that. I'm wondering if we can walk through some of these, how decisions were made in regards to the recommendations that you made. The $100 public fine payable to the city of Groton, where does that come from?
That comes, well, we're allowed to by our, I'm not sure if it's our charter or our rules of procedure. It's in one or the other.
Under the rules
That's the
of procedure,
maximum
okay.
we can actually charge.
Okay.
And that is written as part of what they follow.
Okay.
So that's where the $100 fine came from.
And what I've heard from residents is the money should go back to the ratepayers. So can you address the difference between the money, the $3,250 and the $7,500 going back to the ratepayers versus going to a charity?
Sure. First, let me explain the dollar amount.
Okay.
We took the total $340, $3,000 or $2,000 package and divided it by 44 people, and it came out to $7,500 apiece. And in all cases, our individuals had either their spouse or friend, so that really is a trip for $15,000. We considered that the city should only go after the city's portion. The city's investment in this program is really, it's the same investment as it is on the CMAC board, and that's a little over 50% control, involvement. So we felt half of the 15 would be appropriate. Now in Ron's case, he only went for 1 day. He had to attend a personal graduation of his son, so he spent most of his time that weekend attending his son's graduation. So he should pay only a fourth.
Okay.
But Ron volunteered to pay of half, even though he only was there for one day. That's how the dollar amount came about. We realized that we can only request that they do this. They volunteered to do this also. What was I going to say?
Ratepayers versus the social services needy.
Oh, so we can't request that they send it, the money would have to go back to CMAQ. They're the ones who spent the money. And then CMAQ management would have to decide what to do with it. Frankly, with only these 3 individuals, this is not a lot of money. If that were money, let's say they gave it all back to CMAQ. Let's say $15,000 each. And CMAQ then had to make a decision, and they wanted to figure to get it back to the city of Groton and Basra. It's not going to impact the rates of the electric people who are paying. It's not a big amount of money. The city's portion investment in this program is not a lot of money. The ethics violation is important. They did something that was not right. The dollars, unfortunately, did not seriously impact the city. And it did impact the city residents, and it did impact the city taxpayers. The only people it could impact is if it went back to the Groton utilities and it was somehow brought back to the electric rate payers who pays electric bills. And much of that would not be in the city. Many of our customers are outside the city. So we felt the best way to get this money back to the community would be to have it delivered to a nonprofit organization in needy programs for family in needs who can't pay their heat bills or their rent, and that program exists in the town social service department. Great idea, my opinion.
Thank you for the explanation.
Councilor Sheffield,
Go ahead, Mr.
Councilor Carter.
Yeah, go ahead.
You might have already said it, but Mayor, thank you for your time, you and your board. Good job. What's the difference? Because according to what I'm reading, it says request. Did you already say that? They don't have to pay this.
No,
It's a request.
this is a request,
it's
and this
not
is something,
shall.
yeah. This is something we started to work out with them. They were volunteering cooperation with our investigation.
Yeah, that's just important for people to know that it's a request. That they don't have to pay this. It's,
Correct.
Councilor Sheffield.
Based upon what Mr. DiMaggio had referenced earlier regarding, I guess, his choice of where he wants to donate, do we need to modify the current request, or is that okay that we makes a change of his choice of donating his portion?
Since this is a request, Ed is really the one to volunteer his money.
Okay.
And to be honest, to insist that it go to the town social service, I don't think that's critical. I think if it goes to another nonprofit organization, American Cancer Society, something where it would be benefit that he would appreciate, I don't see no problem with that. There's no reason to, we can't insist.
Okay.
Not on that portion,
All right.
in my opinion.
Councilor Reed.
These 3 individuals aside, did we, because I know this is the first time the process has been used, have you come out of this with ideas for things that we should do to improve it, or do you need teeth in order to not rely on a request or something to that effect, like you're limited to 2 years and so on?
Very good question. The answer to that is, oh yeah. We are planning on, the Ethics Board will meet next month with the intent of just sitting down and say, okay, this is our first time through. We had 6 big ones. What did we do that was complicated? What could we have done to speed up the process? We've got ideas already, and we've been making recommendations amongst ourselves. We're going to put something together. We're going to come back to the council and make recommendations and see if we can perfect the system to make it better. Yes, we have ideas.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Anyone else?
I have one more.
Councilor Carter?
Other than is it Mr. Munzio? Is that the gentleman that spoke?
Yes.
Yes.
So other than him, because he's the only one today that's come and spoke, and he spoke on being opposed of being labeled, unethical. Do we know if the other parties are with this or against this? I mean, or they would be taking their silence as okay, they're just accepting.
All three parties have indicated that they do not agree with our findings.
Okay.
And I understand their positions. They're looking at it from an outside position as coming from the CMAX position that they hold. The Ethics Board took it this is more of a city utility responsibility in regards to the code itself. It's a different of opinion between us and them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just they don't agree.
In the code, where could you find those codes? Are those like listed publicly?
It's in our charter.
It's in the charter.
Yes,
Okay.
section 6, I think. I'm trying. I forget.
You have a copy.
Yeah, I'm just saying like because like here we say codes, but they're not specifically like labeled what section or what code. I'm just.
Well, these didn't come out of the CGS, or Connecticut General Statutes. They came out of our charter. Section 9 was the ethics.
Yeah, but it's nothing. All right.
They were added to the charter, actually to a charter revision commission on 2014. They were added to the charter at that time, and this is the first time someone's actually filed a complaint.
Prior to this charter, there was nothing in the charter that talked about ethics. I don't remember if we had a resolution or if we had an ordinance, but during the last charter revision committee, it was decided that ethics should be addressed in the charter, and it was. So we have ethics, and then the ethics boards, one of the first things they needed to do was to adopt some rules and procedures by which they would
Guidelines.
govern.
Yeah, guideline. Govern.
Any other follow-up on that?
No, I just it's okay.
Councilor Heath?
I know, having worked in several hotels, that you can get sort of, you go along for the ride. There's, a company, I wouldn't call it a retreat. You go on a training mission and you have an expense account, and there are things that, are generally, they can slide if you're not, I don't know how to say this, like I wouldn't do it, but somebody else may do something like that. I would like to see coming out of this is a reform. Anytime an employee of the town or city goes out of, I don't know, goes to an event, that they report back on what they did. Because I don't know how else that we would have found out about this if it hadn't been in the newspaper.
When I asked, you keep this in perspective. In private companies, large corporations who run their own business their way, who are very successful financially, accumulate cash. This is done every day of the week. It's normal business practice. You take your people and you bring them to junkets and you take care of them, and in turn, when you do normal business going forward, everyone succeeds together because you all have the same common goals. You can't do that in government-related programs. It's not allowed. It's difficult. You shouldn't. And that's what happened here.
Deputy Mayor Garris?
In conclusion, I assume everybody's asked any questions that they might have of you. And you might want to know why I wanted you to read this, because yes, we could read it ourselves, but the general public has also, anyone watching, also heard it. they don't have access to reading it. There's been tremendous amount of publicity on this situation here in Norwich. It's been in the papers, as we all know, for weeks, months. There's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of people that are making judgments that don't know the facts. So I want to thank you for reading that and answering the questions, not only for our benefit, but for those people that might be watching.
I think doing that also informs the public through the exposure, yes.
Exactly.
Good information.
Thank you.
Any other questions at this time? If not, we're going to go to the new business. If you have questions during the new business, Chairman Zuliani will certainly answer those questions or help with the questions. Any other questions on the presentation? Okay. In that case, Councilor Rusk. Well, yeah, I think you should read it as is, and then we'll need to amend it.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I guess my question is, are we all ready to move forward with this? I know Councilor Carter had concerns about addressing this right away.
I just not gonna hold on. But you can move forward.
Hold on. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and ask your question, and then we're gonna go around the table.
So my question is, do all councilors feel that they are ready to vote on this matter? I feel like I'm ready to vote, but I don't want to push the vote on everybody if people aren't ready.
Okay.
I
You
just
want to go
certain things that I
around,
missed.
Councilor Beckford?
I think I'm ready to vote.
Okay. Councilor Sheffield?
Yes.
Councilor Heath?
I think it's an unfortunate situation, but yes, we need to vote.
Councilor Carter?
I'm not ready. No.
Okay. What will it take to get you ready?
Well, there's certain things that I've missed, you know, just for that the other council attended in the past that I just missed for different reasons, and I just,
No, I understand.
you know. we had a guy-
Is there something that we could do tonight that would bring you up to speed so that you feel more comfortable?
Oh, I don't need to vote anyway, do I?
I mean,
don't
you
even-
can abstain,
I don't need, I'll
obviously.
abstain. I
Yeah,
don't need
you
to
can
vote.
abstain if you
That's
want.
fine.
It's up to you.
Well, but hold on, this is important to me. This process that we have here is very important to me that
I
that
just
you
have to
don't-
do
that-
my own personal. I got to read up on certain things, and that's just me. I miss certain things, and I just don't feel comfortable. I mean, there's a guy resigned, you know. I just gotta be more aware of what's going on.
Okay, hold on a second. Hold that thought a minute. Deputy Mayor Garrish.
I don't feel that I'm ready to vote on it myself. What I would suggest, even make a motion that we go into executive session where we could discuss this. We might want to invite the city attorney, possibly some members from the ethics committee. I think that there may be questions that we might like to have answered before we actually vote.
Okay. In the process for preparing for this meeting tonight, I've discussed it with our attorney, and because the information has been public thus far and is now public, then there's nothing for us to go into executive session on. If you want to have a discussion tonight, you can have a discussion tonight. If you're uncomfortable with having a discussion tonight, we could always postpone this until the meeting of October 2nd, which is our next council meeting. And then for the committee of the whole next week, we could put it on the agenda, and then it's still going to be public And that way you would have an opportunity to fully discuss it, digest it, dissect it, go through it if you want to do that, but it will be public. It's up to the council. If you feel, based on the information that is there, that you wish to not vote or you wish to abstain, that's one thing. If you feel that you would have to abstain because you are not prepared, because we've not given you enough time, that's a whole different matter. It is my intent to ensure that everyone has the time, all the council has the time that they need in order to make a sound decision. I've promised you before, I'm not going to rush you to get a decision. You need time to deliberate. You need time to think about it. I realize that the information that was just presented to you is new. There is some information that has been out there, but if you've seen it, that's one thing. If you haven't seen it, that's another. And that's just the way it is. Okay, I open it for discussion. Councilor Heed.
Just to be clear on what we're voting on tonight is on each of the three, well, there are several, but basically we're voting to accept the recommendations of the ethics.
Well, you're voting
committee.
to accept or reject.
Exactly, accept or reject, including the donations, non-admission of anything in particular. If I'm reading,
Included.
okay, is
Their
it
entire-
everything included?
Their entire proposal.
Right.
Mhm.
Now, this report has been delivered to us, the mayor and council. This is not our report. This report is from the Board of Ethics. I'm going somewhere real quick. The resolutions that you have in front of you are our resolutions. You cannot amend the report, but you can amend our resolutions. Okay? I know, bear with me. If there is something that you're uncomfortable with or want to change in the report, then we could modify the resolution to include with the amendment of, and then make that change. Does that make sense? Is it clear, and does it make sense?
It's
Deputy Mayor.
clear, but I don't know if that's the issue. I know for myself, we have it appears that what we're being charged with tonight is, do we accept the Ethics Board's rulings without knowing any of the other facts that might have, we haven't had an opportunity to ask the people involved any questions that we might have. So if we just have to approve what the Ethics Board has ruled on, that's one thing. That doesn't mean necessarily that we feel that the rulings are fair and adequate and justifiable.
The intent of these resolutions is not for the council to relitigate the information. It is not for the council to go review a three inch binder. It is not for the council to independently review and question the respondents and all the witnesses. That is not our charge. That is not your charge, because we have the board. The board has done that. That's the purpose of the Board of Ethics. Now, like I said, you can accept or you can reject.
Yeah, but so how are we going to reject? What's the point of that then? I know we don't have to. I'm talking. I don't want to question anybody, but it'd be important for me to read up on myself in order to reject something like that. You know, so what are we doing? What are we accepting and rejecting?
You have the findings and the recommendation of the board.
I understand that.
You have the chairman here who can theoretically answer any question that you would have. He and his board members have been through this. They've been into the weeds, so to speak, and into the minutia with all this information. Councilor Rusk.
Here's where I stand on this. We asked the Ethics Committee to do a job. They did a job and came back to us and said, this is what we're recommending. 2 out of the 3 participants who are being admonished by this board have said, well, we don't agree with it, we've accepted this. That's my understanding.
All three.
All three? Okay.
Then don't accept it.
Have said, except Ed DiMaggio came today and said that he's not in agreement so much with this. So when I look at these recommendations and our resolutions, 2 out of 3 of the people aren't objecting to them. So I don't see where the concern is.
That doesn't mean they didn't
Wait,
accept.
Let me,
Hold on. Councilor Rusk, please continue.
and multiples are that there wasn't a finding of concern or that it was too late. So those, I feel like, those can be moved on without question. And that's where I stand, and I know I opened this discussion,
Oh, no, that's why I asked before. They did.
Hold on. Are you?
I just want to make sure we're all aware that we asked them to do a job, they did their job, they came back to us, now it's time for us to do our job. That's where I stand, and
Okay.
So this is
Councilor Carter,
I
please.
asked the question before. I said, other than Mr. DiMaggio, was anybody else today object to this? And he actually did say the other 3, they didn't want to do this. They were in. They said they were opposed to this. Didn't he?
Who are you asking? Are you asking?
Mr. Giuliani. He said,
Excuse me, Chairman Giuliani?
The other 3 weren't happy with the findings. That's what he said.
Well, I don't know that anyone's going to be happy with the findings.
No, but Councilor Rush just said
I think
that
I
they
can
were
answer your
opposed.
question. Let me refer back to my report. I'm looking for a date.
He said that they were.
He's going to
Okay.
attempt to answer your question.
I don't have a question. I already answered it.
On August 29th, 2017, we had a public meeting here. It was agreed by all 3 members to have a public meeting. They could have had a private session and avoid the public, but they did not. They sat here, they came to us, and they stated their position in general, why they believe they didn't commit a violation. They individually spoke, sat down. Mayor Marion Galvin got up and she had to make a statement on her behalf in regards to her position. And then the ethics board called all 3 respondents back again because we'd seen conflicting information between individuals' statements and reports. Not all of it agreed. Not everything was.
That's what I got. That's what she said. No, that's what she said.
And we were trying to, the board, ethics board, then asked specific questions to get resolve as to where is the line of truth here. To be honest, there was a big gray area. It was a case of communication. Who understood who? At that meeting, those 3 individuals said that they would not accept our findings. They did not agree with our findings.
Yeah, and that's what I just said. That my thing.
But they agreed to the penalty of paying to the nonprofit.
Yeah. Okay.
And they were aware that we were leaning towards not
So
removing.
they did not agree with the findings of guilt, but they did agree with the recommendations. And they would abide by the recommendations.
Can I say something?
Deputy Mayor Garish?
You know, I think what Councilor Rusk said, that's one point of view, and I'm sitting here thinking, I'm looking at it as a former policeman, as an investigator,
I'm gonna do it myself.
and you're a police
That's the
officer,
point.
and we may be looking at it a little differently than what Council Rusk or the other councilors, because of that. This is what I'm just realizing. And what she said, we did. We asked the ethics board to do a job, and they did it, and these are their findings, and now they're saying, will we accept them or not? And
And I'm just simply
what you
saying-
just said enlightened that point to me. I think I was looking at it more as an investigator's point of view. Like, I want more information. And we did. We charged the ethics committee with doing that part. And they've come back and said, these are our findings, accept them or reject them. So,
You
I
guys
don't
can
know
vote
if
on
that-
that, like I
if
said
that
before, you
helps.
can vote. I just
Counselor
don't
Carter.
know.
Go ahead.
No, I think this is going way longer than it's supposed to. I simply just
It
said-
will go as long
I
as
know.
we need to.
Okay.
and
But
to-
I just don't want you to think that I'm like I just simply don't myself. It's not that we didn't have enough time. There's public hearings, like you said, public hearings. There's been different meetings that I have not attended for different reasons. And myself as a counselor, I'm not informed enough, so I cannot vote. That has nothing to do with what's going on and what you've presented to us. We've had a lot of information. I just have to process through it, especially just getting this today. So that's it.
Is there anything from our investigation? We've seen the full thing. We've got the big picture. We really did. Jack wanted to go off and check on Norwich's progress, and we just, no, stay with us for this. We don't need to, we need to focus on us. And if there's any information you think you need that we could answer, I'm available.
I just want to know that right now, so.
I'm ready to vote on
Counselor.
I am personally ready to vote on it, but maybe we want to throw in the, postponing this till the 2nd again.
What is it?
That's what he asked anyway, isn't it?
Well, it's what he originally said because he didn't know where we were going to go.
it. Can we ask again who's ready to vote on it?
We will. Are there any other comments before I ask my next question? Counselor Heath.
Question. Why the difference in results for the 2 employees versus the 1 volunteer?
Why the what?
Why the different recommendation between the 2 employees versus the 1 volunteer?
Different positions. One is a chairman of the Basra utility and chairman of the Groton utility as a civil volunteer. The others are direct employees with responsible positions who are doing a wonderful job, as I see it. It's just there's only 3 people involved in here. 2 of this pretty much the same situation, they're employees.
If you look at the 2 employees, there's consistency amongst the 2 employees. Plus the 2 employees, if you look at the Utility Commission rules and regulations, they're on the Utilities Commission because of their positions with the company. Ed DiMaggio was a volunteer and was volunteer on the Utilities Commission, and as a result, he was also on the Basra Utilities Commission. And that's why he doesn't get a letter, because he has no file. They have personnel files, and that's why they would have a letter. And that's why he's being asked to resign and they are not.
Correct.
Is that
correct?
Thank you. Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments before I continue? Okay, are we ready to vote? Councilor Rusk?
Yes.
Councilor Beckford?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Garris? Councilor Sheffield?
Yes.
Councilor Heath?
Yes.
Councilor Carter?
I'm ready to vote, but I'm not going to vote.
Okay. Councilor Russ, please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution R-17-9-131. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council accept or reject the findings and recommendations of the Ethics Board as they relate to Ron Gaudet. Should I
Second.
just say recommend?
Well, do you,
Well, we move from
Two
second first.
motions and then
we can,
second,
we
right?
need to move and say, well, she read it as written.
As written.
Do you, we can do this one of two ways. We can read it as written and then amend it after discussion.
Okay.
Let's do that with the first one, and then that will give us groundwork for the next one. So, the
I
first-
so move.
Second.
okay, so we have a motion and a second discussion.
I move that we amend this to say, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council accept the findings and recommendations of the Ethics Board as they relate to Ron Gaudet.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion to amend carries. Now, the motion on the table is the amended motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Excuse me. Yeah. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Wait, did you abstain?
No.
We have to do something. I mean, you
Wasn't
have-
it for,
if
wasn't
you
it
did-
for,
That's for the
For,
acceptance.
yeah, the first
oh,
one.
it's for the acceptance? Oh, I thought, okay. Yeah, I'm not.
You have
I'm
one
not,
of three things. You
I'm not
either,
voting, so tell me what I gotta do.
you either accept it, you oppose it, or you abstain.
I abstain.
Okay, so let the record reflect. Thank you. With that in mind, go ahead and you can read it. I assume we'll go the same way through.
Right. So, Resolution R-17-9-132. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council accept, reject the findings and recommendations of the Ethics Board as they relate to David Collard. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second discussion.
Um, I move that we amend to accept this
Second.
resolution.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye on the
Aye.
amendment.
Aye.
Who seconded? Just curious. Okay.
Okay, so we have an amended motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the amended motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. We have one abstain. Councilor Carter. Deputy Mayor Garish.
Resolution R-17-9-133, resolution, therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council accept, reject the findings and recommendations of the ethics boards as that relate to Edward DiMaggio. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Move that we amend it to read accept.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for an amendment. Any discussion? Councilor Sheffield.
Based upon what Mr. DiMaggio mentioned about the monies going to his choice and not to the Groton Town,
Non-profit.
for the nonprofit. Is that something that has to be amended as well, or like I said, he's,
No, because he said it would be of his choice,
Yeah, we can't
and we can't dictate.
impose.
okay,
So he may give to there, for all
okay,
we know.
because I wasn't sure if we had to, because their recommendations,
It says it in.
okay.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry.
Councilor
Did you hear,
Beckford.
It doesn't,
Uh,
it's
so
see what he said.
Deb
The
just,
resolution clearly states where the money is going to go. So
Okay.
the money is not going to go there, and that needs to be amended.
That's what I
It's true,
thought.
yeah.
Well, he
That's what
didn't,
we're doing.
well, then,
Because he
Can I make?
resigned,
But he didn't
because he
say.
had a
Councilor Russ.
resignation.
Thank you. It says a request that he makes it. A request is not a demand.
Right.
Therefore, I think we can leave the wording as is. That we are still requesting that that's where the money goes. If he does not pay it to them,
Yeah.
then that's the choice that he's making.
That's cool.
And he didn't say he wasn't going to give it to them.
Correct.
I think you should say
That's how I
that.
read it.
It's a request.
I don't know, I thought, was there a prior agreement that he was going to accept that, and then now this recent change tonight, is that?
In our negotiations, there was no definite location, but there was volunteer involvement in dollar amount.
Right. As far as the did he volunteer the location of the money first, or
We
no?
didn't get to that part.
Okay.
It was, that request is our final recommendation, but again, it's his choice.
Any other discussion? Now, Clerk Patrick, what we're discussing now is the amended resolution, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the amended resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We have one abstention. Okay. For the remaining ones, I think we're going, you are looking to accept those since there was nothing else in controversy on that. So when you read them, just go ahead and use the accept. Councilor Sheffield.
Resolution R-17-9-134. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council accept the findings and recommendations of the Ethics Board as they relate to the 2015 Greenbrier Resort trip. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? You're going to abstain.
Is this for the, is this 2015?
This is for,
The green-
this is Resolution R-17-9-134.
And that's where they said there was no,
Right.
yeah, okay, yeah.
So where are you?
I agree.
right, so-
So you,
Uh,
you're
say
you're
yea,
an aye?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so-
yeah, it's fine.
Clerk Patrick, it is unanimous.
Okay.
Okay. Resolution, I'm sorry, who's next? Councilor Heath.
Resolution R-17-9-135, therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council accept the findings and recommendations of the Ethics Board as they relate to the 2013-2014 Kentucky Derby trips. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilor,
Just for review,
Russ.
this was outside of the 2-year limit, so it was timed out.
that, which one is that? That's 13, 14? That is correct. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Where are we? Councilor Carter?
We're at 137?
136.
136. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council accept, reject the findings and recommendations of the Ethics Board as they relate to the 2015 Kentucky Derby trip.
Should
I
have been
submit.
read just with accept.
Say again?
Should have been read just with accept.
Right. So read it with just
I'll
the
read it
accept.
again. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council accept the findings and recommendations of the Ethics Board as they relate to the 2015 Kentucky Derby trip. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries unanimously. Councilor Rusk?
Resolution R-17-9-137. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council accept the findings and recommendations of the Ethics Board as they relate to the free TVC cable services. Cable
Second.
service, I'm sorry. I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing
This one-
none? Oh,
I'm sorry, this was also
Councilor-
outside of the time limit, the 2
That
years.
is correct.
Right.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Before we go to the next thing, I want to, Chairman Zuliani, I want to thank you and the rest of the board for your time and your effort for what you've done and your contribution to the city of Groton. Thank you very much. Chairman Zuliani.
I just want to say, I want to thank the other 3 members because this was a team effort here. And if one had not decided to agree, the whole thing was blown out the window. And we deliberated long and hard before we made our final decisions. And we were doing the gambit of yes and no, and all three members, the other volunteers, were right there with me all the way, and I can't thank them enough.
Okay, thank you very much. There is no executive session. I'll make a motion. I will take a motion for adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
We have a motion?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're done. Thank you all. Council, thank you very much for your diligence.